Welcome to Revolution Now. I'm Rudolph. In this video, we're going to be continuing my reading of the Quran, the green parts that can be used to convince somebody to commit an act of jihad, specifically for liberals. On a personal note, I'm not able to post these videos while I'm making them. I would like to go on vacation sometime soon. My family, we have a trip planned and whatnot. And if I were to post these videos before that date, there's a good chance I'd be put on a do not fly list. I cannot say why that is, or who I know, or what would be the purpose of that. But today's date, the date of making this video, not the date of posting, is May the 2nd, 2017. Yesterday, there was a whole bunch of riots about people fighting for immigrant rights, workers' rights, I guess. Communists, anarchists showed up, social justice warriors showed up. I believe Antifa probably had their people there in various degrees throughout the whole United States, and many people were arrested, and many of those protests turned violent and then turned into riots very quickly to show, I don't know, I guess how to really protest. And I was really upset because, again, a lot of those people are protesting because you think Trump is a racist and that his policies are racist, especially his immigration policy to ban certain countries from coming over. But you have all those opinions, and yet you have no idea what's in this book. Not a single clue. So I'm going to use an example that I've thought of this morning in order to express to you just how stupid your current opinion is. Now, I say stupid knowing that half of you, if not all of you, have already just shut off your brains and like, don't call me stupid, I'm not stupid, blah, 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 blah. But let's say that my side, people in the alt-right or conservative-ish, I'm not even really conservative, I myself personally am an extreme liberal in the old sense of the word, where, you know, liberal, do what thou will, just don't affect me while you're doing it. Not the modern, let's make a bunch of rules to try and force everybody to get along and then really do damage to them if they choose not to, no matter what we say. But it would be like all of us getting together and then trying to convince you that Buddhism was a violent religion. If we all got together and just said it over and over and over and over again, Buddhism means violence. If you allow Buddhists near you, they're racist, they're violent, they're homophobic. Buddhists are the worst people on the planet. They cause violence no matter where they go, and it is my personal belief that they should probably be wiped out because they are horrible, horrible people. Now imagine if my side, or any group of people kept that line and they just, Buddhists, fuck those guys, just fuck Buddhists, religion of violence, and we kept saying it over and over and over again. Now, you and I, and we all kind of know that Buddhism is not a religion of violence. You don't need to read a Buddhist book about it. We all kind of have a cursory enough knowledge of the Buddhist belief and how, you know, they believe in this whole reincarnation cycle and not doing so much harm to people in order, if you were to come back reincarnated, you'd probably come back as a fat guy's toilet seat or something like that if you were to be a horrible human being in this life. So they try and not be horrible human beings in the current life that they have in order to better their lot later. That's a general belief of Buddhism, give or take some generalities about it, but that's the actual belief. We all know this. But what if my bumper sticker said Buddhism equals violence, and you started seeing that shit pop up all over the place? You'd lose your fucking mind. You would be like, oh my God, these hateful people attacking Buddhists, they have no knowledge of Buddhism. If they were only to do the slightest amount of research, or just look at Buddhism practice in general and see what Buddhists do with their free time and how they behave, they would know that that is the stupidest belief you could possibly have. How they're able to keep this belief in their head that Buddhism is evil, it's beyond me. It blows my mind to fathom it. I can't comprehend how I would have a conversation with somebody who would have such a stupid belief. How do you start? How did you go about ignoring human history and everything we kind of already know about Buddhism to come to that belief? How did you come to that? It makes no fucking sense, does it? I can't put it in any other way. I'm reading the book to you about Islam. Every time you say Islam is a religion of peace, just watch one of these videos. I'm reading you the book. This is the reading you did not do. It's the same damn example. Buddhism is a religion of peace. Islam is a religion of war and domination to all that is not Islamic. It's written down by Allah through Muhammad and is just a fact. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter how many people you get together to say the same stupid shit. Reality is reality, and it's going to come and bite you in the ass. Just like if reality was reality and we decided to segregate and hurt a bunch of Buddhists, eventually we'd find out how retarded we were and sending them all to a death camp and wiping them all out. That wouldn't make any sense, now would it? Allowing them to come over to your country and thinking that they're going to change, something magical is going to happen where your liberal ass is going to magically make this not true and somehow make God wrong, that's not going to happen either. It can't happen. For if you were to be successful, you would have proven God wrong and thusly negated the entire religion and all three of the major monotheistic religions. If you're right, that means billions and billions and billions of people are so wrong that they now all have to become atheists. If you're proven right and God is wrong. Can't happen. Will not happen. The only way to have this not be a thing is if we acknowledge it for what it is and tell the people who follow this type of religion, look, we know that you have this book of violence. As long as you decide to continue on this path, it's obviously against us. We can't allow you that opportunity to commit violence. So go have fun in the middle of the desert. Do whatever you want to do over there. But if you come anywhere over here and try any of this kind of stuff, it's just not going to happen. Oh, by the way, if you want to be equal and still make an attempt at this, how about we just do this simply? For every mosque that gets built in the United States, Germany, France, or England, Spain, Italy, Poland, Ukraine, and Russia, one church has to be built anywhere here. Well, cut out Turkey. Turkey actually has a few old churches they've allowed to exist because they're more Europe central, but the Middle East primarily. Simple, right? Fair is fair. You believe in that, right? Fair is fair. Everybody's got to be fair, share the wealth, communism type of thing. Social justice, we're all equal here. Very simple. We would not be oppressing them or forcing anything upon them. And we don't even need to go back and make it all equal. Just from now on, every time a mosque is built, in any of those locations, one church, and not a building dedicated to being a church, because they do have a few of those here. They allow them to congregate, but at any time the building could be just used for something else. No, an actual church. Steeple, giant cross on the top, stained glass windows, the whole shebang, statues and everything. Much like they have the freedom to do over here. Freedom, right? They're a very accepting, a loving group of people who would definitely be all into that coexist thing. And we could really attempt that, can't we? So going on. Number 7, the war between heaven and hell. Since I talked quite a bit, I'm going to do as little commentary as possible. I believe I've made my point. I'm going to do a straight read. We've got a lot to get through. We're barely 1/3 of the book in, by the way. So again, if you think this is all hateful and whatever, I haven't even touched the surface. And remember, Sura number 9 is the worst one that everybody quotes from Hannity, Fox News, the alt-right, anybody who wants to quote and prove Islam is a religion of hate. They only quote that one surah. I haven't even gotten there yet. I haven't even touched it. I haven't even skipped to it and read anything. So every hateful, mean thing that I've read so far is just the first few chapters. Like, haven't even touched the surface, really. Well, I did touch the surface, but I haven't gotten in the middle. All right, continuing. 7, the war between heaven and hell. Alif Lam Mim Sad. This book has been sent down to you. Do not hesitate to warn the unbelievers through it and remind the faithful. Once more. Very first set of words. The unbelievers. Preoccupation much, Muhammad? And when our punishment overtook them, we had nothing to say except crying out, we have indeed been sinners. And those whose deeds are lighter in the scale shall perish for violating our signs. We have made devils the friends of those who do not believe. You input such lies to God as you do not know. A section among them were guided, a section were bound to go astray. For instead of God, they took the devils as their friends, yet they think they are on the right path. For those who deny our signs and disdain for them shall belong to hell, where they will abide forever. Who could be more wicked than he who inputs lies to God or denies his revelations? Such as these we will receive what is declared in the book. When our angels come to draw out their swords and ask, where are they you worshipped other than God? They will answer, they have left us and fled, and bear witness against themselves for being infidels. Enter then the fire, will God say. Will the past generations of jinns and men on entering, each batch will condemn the other, and when all of them shall have entered one after the other, the last will come to say of those who had come before them, O our Lord, they are the ones who led us astray, so give them double chastisement in the fire. He will answer, for all it will be double, but this you do not know. Then the former will say to the later, you have no privilege over us, so taste the punishment of what you have done. I'm sweating a little bit. Got a big bright light to try and lighten up everything. Verily, for those who deny our signs and turn away the haughtiness from them, the gates of heaven shall not be opened, nor will they enter paradise, not till the camel passes through the needle's eye. Cold day in hell. This is how we requite the transgressors. For them is the flooring of hell and the covering of fire. That is how we requite the inquitus. If anybody knows how to phonetically. Inquitus? No, I don't know. Fuck it. Nor do I care, Allah. I do not give a shit. When their eyes fall on the inmates of hell, they will say, O Lord, do not place us in the crowd of the vile. They will answer, God has verily forbidden to those who deny the truth, who made a sport and frolic of their faith, and were lured by the life of the world. As they had forgotten the meaning of this day, so shall we neglect them today, for having rejected our signs. Indeed, we had brought to them the book, distinct, replete with knowledge and guidance and grace for men who believe. Are they waiting for the exposition of what it speaks of? The day that reality is unveiled, the people who have lost sight of it will say, the apostles of our Lord are indeed brought the truth. Do we have anyone to intercede for us? If only we could go back to the world, we would act otherwise. Indeed, they have caused themselves harm, and the lies they concocted did not help. But they called him a liar. They were talking about Noah right there. I believe it's the Jews calling Noah a liar. The chiefs of his people, who were infidels, replied, we will find you full of folly and a liar to boot. Then we saved him and those on his side by our grace and destroyed to the very last those who rejected our signs and denied the truth. So this is that time of Noah. This is that story of Noah. And again, when we talk about the similarities between the Quran and the Bible, yes, this is the story of Noah, but it has been converted over into the overall narrative of God has a big problem with all these unbelievers that seem to keep populating the planet, and he is constantly wiping them out. The story, you could argue, is the same in Noah, in the Bible and stuff, but the difference is those stories just refer to them as sinners, people who have strayed from the path of God, those who have chosen to do immoral acts. Same thing with Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodomy and Gomorrah, I guess that's some other sort of crazy sexual act. Blown to bits for sin, not necessarily for unbelief. Not necessarily because they ignored completely the Word of God. It's more, and the revelations and whatnot. It's not a preoccupation with the unbelief part of it. It's more towards what they are doing in their actions and how they are behaving amongst their fellow humans. Islam, though, is taking the stance of unbelief, and this being the narrative goes throughout, which is why the justification for a jihad can be committed against all unbelievers, because throughout the Quran and history, apparently, Allah has had a preoccupation with wiping them out. And thus, you as a good Muslim should also be on the side of God and continue his good works. So witness the end of sinners. But you paid no heed. How can I grieve for a people who do not believe? You should not cry. Little children in Israel getting blown up by a suicide bomber. Just little bodies everywhere. Little hand here, little foot there, whatnot. Don't weep. They are unbelievers, undeserving of your pity. Same thing in the Twin Towers and any other time this has taken place, because God has deemed it so. But if the people of these regions had believed and feared God, we would surely have showered on them the blessings of heavens and earth, but they only denied, and we punished them for their deeds. Are the people of the region so secure that they lie asleep unawares as our punishment overtakes them? Or are the people of the town so unafraid that even when our retribution comes upon them in the hours of the morning, they remain engrossed in sport and play? Can they remain secure against the plan of God? Only they feel secure against the plan of God, who are certain of being ruined. This is for they have called our messages lies, and they have been heedless of them. Vain are the acts of those who deny our signs and the meeting in the hereafter. Can they ever be rewarded for anything but what they did? This is how we requite those who fabricate lies. We dispersed them in groups over the earth, some righteous, some otherwise, and we tried them with good things and bad, that we may haply turn back. Then after a new generation inherited the book, they took to the things of the base world, and said, we shall surely be forgiven this. Yet they will accept similar things if they came their way again, had they not been covenanted in the book to say nothing in the name of God but the truth. And they have read this in it. The abode of life to come is better for those who fear God. Can they not comprehend? As for those who adhere to the book and are firm in devotion, we shall certainly not let the wages of those who are upright to go to waste. Relate to them the plight of man whom we gave our signs, but he passed them by, so that Satan came after him, and he went astray. We wished to exalt him, but he loved baseness, and followed his lust. His likeness is that of a dog, who hangs out his tongue and drive him away, and still hangs it out when you leave him alone. Such is the case that people who deny our signs narrate this history to them, that they may haply reflect. Evil is the case of those who deny our signs and wrong themselves. Many of the jinns and human beings have we destined for hell, who possess hearts but do not feel, have eyes but do not see, have ears but do not hear. Like cattle, even worse than them, they are people unconcerned. They will be retributed for their deeds. We shall punish those who deny our revelation slowly in a way that they will not know. Slowly in a way that they will not know. That's directly talking about your ignorance, letting them in. They actually believe, and it's a common thing, and you read it in between the lines for most of the book, Muslims believe you to be ignorant because you refuse the true signs of Allah, and thusly everything that they do will be covered by Allah's grace and love for them in order to dominate you, and verily they will see the signs of this all around them. Much like how we are constantly divided amongst ourselves and fighting for their rights, they believe that is Allah changing your words, your hearts, and your minds in order to see that their victory comes at the end. This is not you. You are not a good person. You are a dog. You are not worthy of them to even be sat with as friends. What is happening when you agree with them and when you are changing your ways and you're committing and you're trying to get Sharia law to be in these places in order to accommodate them, it is Allah who is working on their behalf in order to change your mind, to change your will, in order to see that the way is paved gold for Muslims. That is the belief. It has nothing to do with your kindness and generosity. It is not seen that way. If you believe it is being seen that way, it is not. All good Muslims know that Allah has control over all things. Whether you're an atheist, Satanist, Wiccan, whatever crazy religion you want to be a part of, it doesn't matter. Allah has dictated your will. You don't have will. All will be to Allah. Allah is the creator of all things. All praise be Allah. That's how that works. They're not wishy-washy like you in their religion. They're firm in that belief too. There's no changing that. Even if you say, oh, I'm doing this because I'm a great person and I believe. Yeah, you believe, right. Allah made you believe a certain thing. Allah has closed off your heart to him. Allah doesn't want you. But Allah will change you so that Muslims can dominate and move forward. That's the belief. I've read this a few times. If you haven't heard it yet, it'll probably happen a few more times. Relate, blah, 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 baseness, fall, they reflect, blah, blah, blah. Many of the jinns that concocted. Okay. We shall punish those who deny revelation slowly in a way that they will not know. That was that. I shall give them respite. My plan is certainly invincible. Have they not bethought themselves their companion is not mad? He is only a plain abominationer. Have they not contemplated the kingdom of heavens on the earth and everything created by God to induce that perhaps their own term is drawing to a close? In what lore after this world then they believe? Whosoever God allows to go astray has none to show him the way, for he leaves them to wander perplexed in their wickedness. Allah has allowed you to remain an unbeliever of the faith. Just because you choose not to follow Islam, it's because Allah has decided that you should not choose Islam. You see, you don't have free will when it comes to submission, which is Islam, submission to God, submission in all things. Oppression will be for those heavens and earth when it comes, it will be unawares. I am only a bearer of warnings and bringer of happy news for those who believe. All right. Coming to 8, which you might like the title of this chapter. Whoop. Spoils of war. Woo, religion of peace. Did you ever read that? Does that sound like a religion of peace to you? Like, I'm not making this up. I didn't write this. I didn't write this book at all. You're saying this is a religion of peace. It's got a chapter, Spoils of War. And you say it's also closely related to the Torah and the Bible. Where's the chapter of the spoils of war in those books? Is there a whole chapter dedicated to that shit? And I will argue that the Torah and the Bible, as I've probably stated before, are written by man, and this is acknowledged. They are divinely inspired and nothing more. This is written by Allah. Muhammad only penned it after Gabriel verbatimly told him what to write. And double check that shit. This is perfect and cannot be changed. Spoils of war. Allah says there's spoils. Allah says there's war. Are true believers. There are for them high ranks with the Lord and pardon and noble provisions. As your Lord sent you from your home to fight for a true cause, a section of the faithful were averse, who argued with you about the matter, even after it had become quite clear, as if they were being punished into the arms of death as they waited. Though God promised that one of 2 columns would fall to you, you desired the one that was not armed. But God wished to confirm the truth of his words and wipe the unbelievers out to the last, so that truth may be affirmed and falsehood negated. Even though the sinners were adverse, the title about spoils of war is directly not just for war, it's because you are at war with unbelievers. It says that quite clearly. So war is jihad, jihad is war. They're all intermingled. If you're committing war as an Islamist, it should be against an unbeliever. And there's rules and spoils for that. I shall fill the hearts of infidels with terror, so smite them on their necks in every joint and incapacitate them. For they had opposed God and his apostle, but whoever opposes God and his apostle should know that God is severe in retribution. For you is the punishment to taste, for the infidels the torment of hell. For anyone who turns his back on the day except to maneuver or rally to his side will bring the wrath of God on himself and have hell as abode, and what an evil destination. It was not you who killed him, but God did so. You did not throw what you threw, sand in the eyes of the enemy at Badr, but God, to bring out the best in the faithful by doing them a favor of his own will. God is all-hearing and all-knowing. That was that. But remember, God will make plots of the unbelievers. Contemplate. Now, it just said that you could do anything you want to the unbelievers, chopping them up and doing whatnot. So when you see ISIS, again, doing some of the most horrific acts that you could possibly imagine, they do recite this. There's not some leader over there going, yeah, let's chop up these people because I said so, and we're going to commit a bunch of atrocities, and that'll be pretty cool. Let's just all get all psychopathic about it. We're a small minority, and no Muslims will agree with what we're doing, but I give us the go-ahead so we could do the worst shit imaginable. No, he picks up the Quran and simply just starts reading. And then everybody has the justification to do the most horrible acts you could possibly imagine. To you, the dogs, who really don't matter. O believers, obey God and his messenger, and do not turn away from him when you hear him speak, and do not be like those who say, we have heard, but do not hear. See how much green there fucking is? And you notice I don't flip a lot of pages to get to it. It's almost every fucking page. Go back through all of these videos. You see me flipping pages. I don't flip very far. Maybe I skip one page here and there, but it's literally every freaking page. It has been every single page so far. And maybe I'll show a video and just show how much is through it. I am going to make a video of just me flipping through this so you can just see the sheer amount of what's what. The worst of the creatures in the eyes of God are those who are deaf and dumb and devoid of sense. If God had seen any good in them, he surely would have made them hear. Now, even if he makes them hear, they will turn away in obdurance. O believers, respond to the call of God and his prophet when he calls you to what will give you life and preservation. Remember that God intervenes between man and his heart, and that you will be gathered before him. Beware of sedition, which does not affect the oppressors among you, and know that the punishment of God is severe. Remember when the infidels contrived to make you a prisoner or to murder you or expel you. They plotted, but God also planned, and God's plan is the best. When our messenger we read out to them, they said, we have heard. We could certainly compose writings like them if we choose, but they are but only tales of long ago. They had also said, if this be the truth from you, O God, then rain down on us stones from the skies and inflict a grievous punishment upon us. But God would not choose to punish them while you are in their midst, nor afflict them when they are seeking forgiveness. But what is there so special they have that God should not punish men when they obstruct people from the holy mosque, though they are not its appointed guardians? Its guardians could only be those who are pious and devout, but most of them do not know. Their worship in the house of God has been no more than whistling and clapping, so that they have the taste of the punishment for disbelief. Those who disbelieve spend their possessions on turning men away from God. They will go on spending and rue it to the end and will be subdued. But those who remain disbelievers shall be gathered into hell, that God may separate the bad from the good and link the wicked together and cast them into hell. These are verily the people who will lose. You tell the unbelievers, in case they desist, whatever has happened will be forgiven them if they persist. They should remember the fate of those who have gone before them. So fight them till all opposition ends and obedience is holy as God's. If they desist, then verily God sees all they do. But if they obstinate, know that God is your helper and protector. How excellent a helper. Fight them to the very end. Just says it right there. And yet you're like, is a religion of peace? I'm going to stop saying that because I'm kicking a dead horse. Do you feel stupid now? You should. And instead of thinking about how I'm insulting you, just change your belief. If you want to know something personal about me, I'm never wrong. Why am I never wrong? That's a fucking egotistical thing to say. No, because very easily, if you prove me wrong, I change my mind into what's now right. Thusly, now I'm right. Can't be wrong as long as you're malleable to the truth and you could accept evidence, have a conversation, a dialogue, and work things out to the conclusion that they should be. Because in this world, there are facts and reality, and then there's bullshit, superstition, or whatever on the other, and that can't be proven. I choose the path that can be backed up with facts and logic in order to make me an infallible right. If you choose anything else against me, you will always be infallibly wrong. And if you're ever right, I'll just believe what you believe, and then I'll be right too. It's quite simple. So believe what I believe, and not this, but believe about it what I believe, and then you'll be right. And then we'll all be right together. And then we could look towards the possible signs of war so that we could protect ourselves and not be victims. Like that group of gay guys that got shot up in that nightclub in Florida. Oh, by the way, I'm pretty sure there were a few of them in that nightclub who were all like, oh yeah, immigrants, yeah, we're on the side of Democrats, those evil Republicans, and then here comes a Muslim, just pop, 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 pop. Yeah, that's how much of a side he's on your side too. That's what happens. Anyway, oh, votary on the day of victory over the infidels, the day when you were at one end of the valley, the unbelievers at the other end, and the cavern. O believers, when you meet an army, stand firm and think of God a great deal, that may be blessed with success. Obey God and his apostle, and do not disagree amongst yourselves, or you will be unarmed and lose courage. Persevere, for God is with those who endure. Do not be like those who went out from their homes full of importance, ostensibly trying to hinder others from the way of God, but God encompasses all they do. There are people who say don't kill non-Muslims in the Muslim community. Allah has said don't worry about them. They don't know what they're talking about. They're not as good as Muslims that you are. They're not as good as being Muslim as you are. It's right here that even if there's a whole section, even if there's a majority, even if it's 99% of all Islam went peaceful somehow, all it takes is one person to pick up this book and be like, oh shit, they're all wrong. It's up to me now. That's what happens. That's why it has to end at some point. And that's why it has existed throughout the history of Islam. There has always been jihad. If you go back through and look at the history books, since its inception till today, there has not been a break in jihad at any given point. If you think that they are doing all of this because we're encroaching on their territories and spreading our Western culture over there, you are wrong and ignorant of facts and history. There are straight up facts and history of what has taken place before today that you could read up on, and not our history. It's their own history. There's tapestries, there's books on it, there's hadiths on it, there's all sorts of stuff that they have recorded themselves of their own jihad tactics and techniques and what has been taking them throughout the history on what they've been doing. It's all well recorded, and it's just continued on to today. There's really no end to it until Islam ends. And Islam has to end for it to end, because Islam is the word of Allah. So it either ends or God's wrong. Two things can't exist in the same reality. The hypocrites and those who had doubts in their hearts said, the faith has misled them, but whosoever places his trust in God. If you could only see the infidels as the angels draw their souls and strike their faces and their backs, saying, taste the torment of burning. For what you have brought upon yourselves, God is surely not unjust to his creatures. They are unjust to themselves. Their case is like that of Pharaoh's people and of those before them who denied the revelations of God and were punished for their sins by God, and God is all powerful and severe in his punishment. This was the case for the people of Pharaoh and those before him, who rejected the signs of the Lord and were destroyed for their sins. And we drowned the people of Pharaoh as they were oppressors. Verily, the worst of creatures in the sight of God are those who deny the truth. The worst of creatures. The worst in the eyes of God. This is the worst, meaning worst. Nothing that's worse than them. The worst. So the pig, which they cannot consume, in Arabic, khanzir, which is haram, you cannot eat it, is above you. Dogs, who they really don't like, they believe them to be dirty animals. Most of the Islamic world are cat people. You're the worst. You're the worst. When they read this, they are literally saying you watching this video are the worst. You. So what the fuck are you doing saying you want them to come over here? The infidels should not think that they can bypass the law of God. Surely they cannot get away. O prophet, urge the faithful to fight. If they are 20 among you with determination, they will vanquish 200. If there are 100, then they will vanquish 1,000 unbelievers. For they are people devoid of understanding. God has lightened your burden, as he knows you are weak. So if there are 100 men of firm determination among you, they will vanquish 200. And if there are 1,000 of you, they will vanquish 2,000 by the will of God. For God is with those who are determined. No apostle should take captives until he has battled and subdued the country. You desire the vanities of this world, but God wills for your reward of the world to come, and God is almighty and all wise. Remember, I don't know if I told you this, but I put green X's near the shit that's really horrible, or blue X's, depending on what I'm trying to prove. I didn't make any of that up. If you want to pause and give that a good read, you're welcome to do so. States pretty much straight up. And again, with ISIS and all Al-Qaeda and all these groups, they actually don't take prisoners. The reason why they keep killing them is because God has actually told them not to kill them during war. It's not an ISIS thing. It's not an Al-Qaeda thing. It's not a horrific act by one certain group. It is the actual way on how you're supposed to commit war, because Allah has said it is done this way. Until the whole country is subdued and your control over it firm, and everybody in it Muslim and faith assured, you are not to take prisoners. You are to just wipe them out, because they probably would just breed later and cause a little bit of dissension amongst your country. So it's best to just clean the slate, a little bit of genocide, and then peace shall be there. And on another note, for those of you who have ever heard Islam is a religion of peace, they're actually quoting something, and it's a little evil. It's a little underhanded. You don't see it right away, but it is there. When they say that, they mean after the entire world is Islamic, there will be peace. That is the actual belief behind it. It's like taking a quote and leaving out a little bit in order to make the quote seem a little bit more acceptable. And that's what they're actually quoting per their own religious beliefs. They're quoting the fact that the belief is when the whole world or the nation is Islamic, there is peace throughout. All Muslims will be peaceful with other Muslims. There will be no crime. There will be no poverty. There will be a lot of charity, and Muslims will take care of their own. That is the belief behind it. So when they tell you it is a religion of peace, it is for them, and once everybody converts, eventually there will be peace, and it is God's plan to eventually get to that point, and they are simply helping that process along, either by lying to your face, telling you don't worry about Muslims, we're all peaceful, why not, or going and killing themselves and killing a bunch of you in the process. It's all part of the plan. And it's all written down, but you didn't read it. They have deceived God before, so he gave you mastery over them. For God is all-knowing and all-wise. For those who accepted the faith and set out of their homes and fought in the way of God, wealth and soul, and those who gave them shelter and helped them as friend of one another, you are not responsible for protecting those who embrace the faith but did not leave their homes until they do so. Those who fight and kill, this rank. Those who don't, you're Muslim, but that's a good Muslim. You're Muslim. That's as far as you're gonna get. But if you go out and fight, you could get that rank. In case they ask for your help in the name of faith, you are duty-bound to help them. Those who are infidels aid one another unless you do the same. There will be discord in the land and anarchy. Those who accept the faith and abandon their homes and struggled in the cause of God, and those who gave them shelter and helped them, are verily true believers who fight. For them is forgiveness and noble sustenance. Those who accepted the faith and left their home and fought by your side are your brothers. Yet those who are related by blood are closer to one another according to degree. Verily God knows everything. I'm going to end this video here, because next video is number 9. The one that they all quote. Oddly enough, it's called repentance. But as you can see, this is the green of 9. I'm just going to give you a quick look-see here of how much reading I got to do in order to get through chapter 9. Again, these videos are not for you if you already agree with everything I just said. They're not for you if you already know what the hell I'm talking about. Don't show this video to somebody else who already knows, unless you're telling them to go send it to their liberal friends, the people who didn't bother reading. And I know it sucks that I'm insulting them at the same time, and it's going to make it harder for them to hear this. It'll be very difficult. You need to do your part and not just compound what I'm telling them, but show them news articles, show them statistics of terrorism throughout the world, show them the fact that everywhere that there is Islam, including the Philippines and other parts of Asia and India, Sri Lanka, everywhere there is Islam, there is war with Islam. Africa, all of it. Anytime there is Islam, and remember that group from somewhere in Africa that took all those girls from that school? Those girls, by the way, if you're wondering what happened to them, they got fucked to death. They got fucked to death. It's probably the most horrible fate you could probably assign to somebody, to have a ravenous group of psychopaths think it's religiously their moral duty to fuck to death a group of innocent, young, and sometimes preteen girls. There is rape that's on the rise in Europe right now, and it's mostly due statistically, factually, police reportedly, by the refugees you have coming from Syria and other places. Fucked to death. That's your fate. You're gonna get fucked to death. I get really animated about this kind of stuff because I have seen horrendous things. I know horrendous things. Like I said before, in case you forgot, I grew up over there. I know how they think. I know what they want. If you're a female and you're wanting them to come over here, you're dumb as a doornail. You are really batshit fucking crazy. You're retarded. You are straight up stupid. I have no respect for you. And they don't have any respect for you either. That's why they're gonna fuck you to death. And your daughter too. And possibly your son. By the way, I'm gonna end this here. I'm gonna make, how far am I in this video? Like I said, they're mostly around the same timestamp. This ain't too bad. No, it's not too bad. Okay, I'm gonna say one thing. What I'm about to say is highly controversial, and it is something only people who've actually been to the Middle East know, or have lived there for an extended period of time. Vice even did a segment on this in Afghanistan, and they did it as if it was an Afghani thing, but it's pretty much throughout the entire Middle East. Or Muslim cultures, which can be found in pockets around Western nations. Islam is a pedophilic religion. It is filled with pedophiles. Muhammad was a pedophile. These things are justified in the religion. If you like pedophiles, you might like Islam. Now, if you're a Muslim and you're watching this, I'm not saying you're a pedophile. I'm saying if you were to go over there, it's a lot more acceptable. As a matter of fact, kids don't have rights, just like women don't have rights. There's really no method of reporting such a crime. If you were to come forward and say you got raped, everybody you would report it to would assume you were in a situation where you would get raped. When you talk about rape culture in the United States, I lose my fucking mind. Because I grew up in a place that actually had rape culture. I had friends who would talk about raping people. Raping their maids, which is rampant around the Middle East. All those Filipino maids, if you're Filipino, Malaysian or whatnot, and you want to go over here and make money, and do not do that, you're going to get fucked. And there's no process for you to report that out. Nobody gives a shit about you. Your embassy sure as hell doesn't. There's really no way that you could stop you being raped to death. So, I'm gonna, well, not raped to death, but just raped on a regular basis. I'm gonna end this video here, and I know what I just said is pretty horrendous, and you're all gonna be like, how is that possible? I'll continue this in another video. But just as a quick note, a quick jab, in case you don't know, the largest amount of pedophiles on the planet is in the Middle East and in the Muslim parts of Africa. and it is totally acceptable because that is a rape culture. If you reported to the cops, why were you not with your man? Why were you in a place alone with another man? You were probably asking for it. How were you dressed? Again, why you were alone without your man in any place? You probably secretly wanted dick. You know you wanted it. You do know you wanted it. I mean, you went someplace without your man. What did you think was going to happen? Subconsciously, some part of you wanted to get some dick. And you got some dick, you stupid bitch. If you think that's offensive, that's how they think. I know this because that's how a lot of my friends growing up thought. This is Revolution Now. I'm Rudolph, as always. Have a good one. In today's Just a Tip, you might notice a big difference in the production value that I normally bring to the table, which wasn't much to start with. But I'm switching houses and going through a transition right now, and I really needed to get these videos out here, so it is what it is. If you're watching these videos because of the end part of it, where I give you some sort of tip about life or how to conduct yourself or whatever I may say in this point, then you're really not paying attention to the meat of the videos, which a lot of them have been recorded previous, and I have to actually record this part just to tag onto them because I started doing it and I just kind of have to finish the things that I start. So in today's Just a Tip, buying anything other than regular unleaded gas is almost foolhardy, if not outright stupid, unless you have a high performance vehicle or a supercar. And what I mean by high performance vehicle, I literally mean a Corvette or better. Something with a V10 engine in it that's meant for racing, that's meant to have a high octane input and all that other good stuff. Which makes me wonder why even gas stations have the premium and then the super unleaded. Because there must be a whole bunch of you out there still buying the upgraded gasoline, thinking that you're doing some sort of good for your engine, or there's a difference in performance and whatnot. But time and time again, consistently, people who know cars really well, who work on cars, who build cars, who manufacture them, designers, all those people will tell you the normal gas is fine. Anything else is just a ploy in order to get you to buy a better brand of gasoline. But there really has been no consistent study that says by putting a different, higher grade, more expensive gas in your vehicle is really going to prolong life extensively, so to where you even want the vehicle. So further on in the future, I myself have a vehicle that's an 07. It's currently 2017. I've never put the upgraded gas in it, and I see no difference really in it, and it still functions just as it should in all of its way, because of the other regular maintenance that you should do with your vehicle. Again, that's Revolution Now. I'm Rudolph. This has been Just a Tip. Have a good one.